want style, body and shine. A look that's totally on mine. Hair so soft, silky and free. I want something just for me.
Just for me.
No light conditioning, relaxer cream.
Just for me.
For combing and styling that's worry-free.
L-U-X-E-F-R-M-E.
Try the Just For Me No Light Conditioning Cream Relaxer System today, created in part by mothers,
Especially for their daughters.
by Proline.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Janae. I'm an attorney. In today's video, we are talking about the L'Oreal lawsuit about the hair relaxer. So let's get into it. L'Oreal is currently under fire due to his hair relaxing products being accused of causing health conditions and concerns such as cancer, fibroids, endometriosis, and the list kind of goes on. And so to add a little bit of the backstory to this, a petition for a product liability claim or lawsuit was filed in October of 2022 by Ms. Jenny Mitchell. Now, Ms. Mitchell was diagnosed with uterine cancer in 2018, and come to find out, due to her prolonged use of hair relaxing products, she is alleging that the hair relaxing products contain endocrine disrupting chemicals. A lawsuit has been filed against Loreal USA, a cosmetic brand that we all know and probably have used in the past, but more specifically, it is a product liability claim that was filed against them. And the brands that were specifically mentioned in this lawsuit was Motions, Dark and Lovely, Olive Oil Relaxer, and Organic Root Stimulator. All of those who are mentioned, but not limited to these specific brands that have caused or are being accused of causing cancer. So before I go deep into the lawsuit, let me kind of explain a little bit of what a product liability claim is. So basically, manufacturers, suppliers, those who put together products can be held legally responsible for the products that they put out into the market if it causes injury to those who use the product as it is intended to be used. Typically, there are three main defects: manufacturing defect, design defect, and the failure to warn or marketing defect. With a manufacturing defect, there was an error manufacturing a specific item. Usually within a design defect, the victim of the personal injury case must prove that there was a safer alternative within the design that could have been used, and it would not have been it would have been more cost efficient, or would not have been too expensive to do this safer alternative. Failure to warn, the risk associated with the product was not reasonably apparent, and there was not a warning label on the product to warn the user of potential risk, harms, or injury associated with using this product as intended. So let's get into the lawsuit now, specifically. So these hair relaxer products are being accused of having endocrine disrupting chemicals, which are chemicals that interfere with the normal activity of the endocrine system. The endocrine system is vital to maintain the body's natural hormonal production and degradation. A slight variation of hormone levels can lead to significant adverse health effects, including cancer, reproductive impairment, and infertility. So the chemicals that are accused of being harmful are phthalates and DEHP. I'll list it up here for you guys to see, because I can't say the full word of DEHP, and I'm not even going to attempt to do so. I'm just not going to do that. So phthalates are chemicals that's used to improve the stability and retention of fragrances and help products stick to and penetrate the skin and hair. It is used in a variety of cosmetics such as nail polishes, hairsprays, aftershave lotion, cleansers, and shampoos. The second chemical is DEHP, which is a highly toxic manufactured chemical that is not found in the natural environment. Once it enters the human's body, it breaks down into specific metabolites, which is known to cause significant adverse health effects such as endometriosis, developmental abnormalities, reproductive dysfunction, infertilities, and various cancers. So the injuries that are associated with these chemicals are uterine cancer, uterine fibroids, breast cancer, endometriosis, and preterm delivery. So the law does not require cosmetic products and its ingredients unless it is color additives to be FDA approved before going off into the market. Isn't that crazy? But there are laws and regulations that apply to cosmetic brands before they go off into the market. The two most important laws pertaining to cosmetics brands is the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act and the Fair Packaging and Label Act, which you will hear me reference as FDC and FPLA as I talk about these two different laws. So the FFDC expressly prohibits the marketing of adulterated or misbranded cosmetics in the interstate commerce. Adulteration is a violation involving product composition. A cosmetic is adulterated if it bears or contains any poisonous or deleterious substances causing injury to the product user, and if it contains any or composed in whole and part of any poisonous, deleterious substance which may render the contents harmful to health. Misbranding is a violation involving improperly labeled or deceptive packaging. The label is false or misleading. Label does not include all required information. Required information is not prominent and conspicuous, or the packaging label is in violation of an applicable regulation issued pursuant to Section 3 and 4 of the Poisonous Prevention Act, package of 1970. So under the FPLA, the FDA requires an ingredient declaration on cosmetic products sold at the retail level to consumers. So under the U.S. law, cosmetic manufacturers are not required to submit their safety data to the FDA, but they can't put ingredients in a cosmetic that makes the cosmetic harmful when used as intended. Companies or manufacturers have a duty to ensure the safety of their own products. Neither does the FDA or the law requires a specific testing to demonstrate the safety of the products, but they have been advised to use whatever testing is necessary to ensure the safety of the products. So there are 15 counts mentioned in this lawsuit that was filed in October 2022. And I'm going to touch on some of the basics of the allegations or counts in this lawsuit. So I'm going to be looking back and forth as I read to you guys what's being alleged. So first, it states that the defendant's actions knew or should have known that the use of phthalates and other EDCs, the endocrine disrupting chemicals, in the hair products significantly increases the risk of cancer, including but not limited to breast cancer, and upon specific knowledge dating back for decades. So they're being accused of knowing for decades that the chemicals that they're putting in their hair relaxing products can cause cancer, and they have not done anything about it. The defendants themselves failed to properly and adequately warn and instruct the plaintiffs as to the risk and benefits of the products given her needs for this information. So they didn't put a warning label on their products stating, hey, there's chemicals such as phthalates and other, like the DEHP, that may cause uterine cancer, breast cancer, uterine fibroids, preterm delivery. None of this was apparently mentioned on these warning labels. Had the plaintiff received a warning that the use of these products would significantly increase her risk of developing uterine cancer, she would have not used them. As a proximate result of the defendant's design, manufacture, marketing, sale, distribution of these products, the plaintiff was injured catastrophically. It was caused severe pain, suffering, infertility, disability, impairment, loss of enjoyment of life, loss of care, comfort, and economic damages. Defendants' products were defective because they failed to contain warnings and or instructions and breached express warranties and or failed to conform to express factual representation upon which the plaintiff justifiably relied on using these products. Defendants' products failed to contain and continue to this day not to contain adequate warning and or instructions regarding the increased risk of cancer, including but not limited to breast cancer, with the use of their products by women. Defendants continue to market, advertise, and expressly represent to the general public that it is safe for women to use their products. These defendants continue with these marketing and advertising campaigns despite having scientific knowledge that dates back to 2011 that their products increase the risk of breast cancer in women. They've been having knowledge since 2011 that their products increase the risk of breast cancer in women. Whew. Okay. And that's only in count one. Like I said, I'm going to briefly go over the different counts and what they are accusing or alleging L'Oreal and these specific brands that were mentioned in this lawsuit. So count 2, which is strict liability for the design or manufacturing of the defect. The products failed to perform safely when used by the plaintiff in a reasonably foreseeable manner, specifically increasing her developing uterine cancer, the propensity of the phthalates and other endocrine receptive chemicals to trigger cancerous growth in premenopausal women, including but not limited to the uterus, thereby substantially increasing the risk of cancer, including but not limited to uterine cancer, which renders the products unreasonably dangerous when used in a manner it was intended and to an extent beyond that will be contemplated by the ordinary consumer. Count 3. Strict liability, design or manufacturing defect. The products failed to perform safely when used by the plaintiff in a reasonably foreseeable manner when she developed uterine cancer. More importantly, the products are an essential cosmetic product that do not treat or cure any serious disease. Further, safer alternatives, including fragrance-free products, have been readily available for decades. The defendant knew or by the exercise of reasonable care should have known that the products are unreasonably dangerous, but have continued to design, manufacture, sell, distribute, market, promote, and supply the products as to maximize sales and profits at the expense of public health and safety in conscious disregard of the foreseeable harm to the consuming public, including the plaintiff. L'Oreal and the defendants owed a duty to all reasonably foreseeable users to design a safe product. The defendants breached their duty by failing to use reasonable care in the design and or manufacturing of their products because the products were unreasonably dangerous and that they increased the risk of cancerous growth in premenopausal women, including but not limited to uterus, thereby substantially increasing the risk in cancer. Child, there's a lot happening. The defendants breached their duty of care by failing to use reasonable care and providing adequate warnings on their products, including the products were likely to increase the risk of cancer growth in premenopausal women, including but not limited to the uterus. The failure of the defendants to adequately warn about their defective products and their efforts to misleadingly advertise through conventional avenues created a danger of injuries described herein that were reasonably foreseeable at the time of the design and or manufacture and distribution. At all relevant times, the defendant could have provided adequate warnings and instructions to prevent the harms and the injuries set forth herein, such as providing a full and accurate information about the products in advertising. A reasonable company under the same or similar circumstances would have designed a safer product. And failing to warn plaintiff of the hazards associated with the use of the product, and failing to properly test their products to determine adequacy and effectiveness or safety measures, if any, prior to releasing the products for consumers, failing to properly test their products to determine the increased risk of uterine cancer during the normal and or intended use of the products, failing to inform ultimate users such as plaintiffs as to the safe and proper methods of handling and the use of the products, failing to remove the products from the market when defendants knew or should have known their products were defective, failing to instruct the ultimate users such as plaintiffs as to the method for reducing the type of exposure to the products which caused increased risk of cancer, including but not limited to uterine cancer, failing to inform the public in general and plaintiff in particular of the known dangers of using the products, failing to advise users how to prevent or reduce exposure that caused increased risk of cancer, including but not limited to the uterine cancer, marketing and labeling the product as safe for all use despite knowledge to the contrary, failing to act like a reasonably prudent company under similar circumstances. Each and all of these acts and omissions taken singularly or in combination were approximate cause of the injuries and damages sustained by the plaintiff in this lawsuit. And it goes on and on and on. But they did breach their duty of care from what I can tell. You know, and there must be some sort of change to take place in making sure that at least there are warning labels provided on the packaging. Next, it goes on to say defendants engaged in unfair methods of competition and deceptive acts or practices that were prescribed by law, including the following: representing that their goods or services have characteristic ingredients, uses, benefits, or quantities that they do not have, advertising goods or services with the intent not to sell them as advertised, and engaging in fraudulent or deceptive conduct that creates a likelihood of confusion or misunderstanding. Defendants intended for the plaintiff to rely on their representation and advertisement regarding the products in order to achieve monetary gain from plaintiffs through her purchases of the products. Had the defendants not engaged in the deceptive conduct described above, the plaintiff would not have purchased and or paid for the product, and it would have incurred in related injuries and damages. Unfair methods of competition and unfair deceptive acts or practices are declared unlawful whether any person has in fact been misled, deceived, or damaged thereby. The defendants actively and intentionally concealed and or suppressed material facts in whole or in part to induce consumers, including the plaintiff, to purchase and use products, and did so at her expense. Specifically, defendants have been aware of the positive association between DEHP used in their products and an increased risk of cancer. Epidemiology studies since at least 2015 that exposures to phthalates in their products enhance invasive and activities of endometrial cells. Recent studies have established a statistically significant correlation between the defendant's products and uterine cancer. The products do not conform to the express representation because they cause serious injury when used in a manner directed by the defendants in the form of cancer, including but not limited to uterine cancer. The defendants breached their implied warranties of the products sold to the plaintiff because they were not fit for their common, ordinary, and intended uses. Defendants also owed a continuing duty to plaintiff to remove, recall, or retrofit the unsafe and or defective platforms across the United States, including in the plaintiff's state. The defendants have also not made any reasonable efforts to remove and or retrofit the serious safety risk posed by the products to the consumers. In failing to properly and or retrofit the products or even warn of the serious safety risks the platforms pose to consumers and the public, defendants have failed to act as a reasonable manufacturer, designer, or distributor would under the same or similar circumstances and failed to exercise reasonable care. Monitoring procedures exist that make the early detection and prevention of the above EDC, endocrine disrupting chemicals, related and or induced disease and mental health issues possible. Many of the physical and mental health issues can lead to other physical and mental health injuries long-term that can be detected and prevented by existing medical and psychological testing and treatment. These procedures are different from the normally recommended in the absence of the exposure. These monitoring procedures include non-routine surveillance studies, laboratory testing, and physical exams, and were reasonably necessary according to the contemporary scientific principles. I just said a lot without saying the entirety because this petition is over 70 pages. But I wanted to highlight to you guys some of the things that are mentioned and what they're being accused of and what the allegations are, and the fact that it is being said that L'Oreal has known since at least 2011 that their products were harmful, and they did not apparently do a recall, did not put a warning label, or any of those things that are mentioned in this petition for a lawsuit. At the very least, they could have put a warning label on, just like with cigarettes. It's warning you can possibly get cancer or lung cancer, right? At least have that on your products to give people the option to choose, hey, yeah, I'm going to accept the risk of uterine fibroids, uterine cancer, breast cancer, preterm delivery, and whatever other endometriosis, health conditions, concerns. Give people the choice, or at least give people the option. If these allegations are true, instead of just pushing out a product when there are safer alternatives to use for fragrance-free, which, child, I've had a hair relaxer before, and And I don't know what fragrance free is covering up, but I can definitely smell the perm. I know what a perm smells like. So I don't know the phthalates. I haven't had a perm in a very, very long time because I am 100% natural at this point. But when it said fragrance free, I don't think the phthalates are doing a very good job because I can smell the perm. I know what a perm smells like. But anyways, so, and as we all know that these marketing for hair relaxers are towards Black women. Majority Black women use these products, and it has been marketed to us since the very beginning for decades to use these hair relaxer straighteners because A, we want to look professional. Before the Crown Act was passed, I did a whole video on that if you guys want to check that out and understand the history of hair, of Black hair, and how did we get from, you know, slavery into like today's law of needing the Crown Act. But just the fact that this is something that we all know, if you are a Black woman or a Black person, know someone to have used a perm before, or you may have used a perm. And it's likely if you have used a perm since you were a child that you will continue to use a perm until you were an adult. I got a perm when I was a child, and I used a perm all the way up until I was about 25, maybe 26, and I stopped getting a perm, you know? And now our mothers and our grandmothers and our ancestors did not have the information that we have now, that these hair relaxer products could potentially give cancer, fibroids, which is what's being alleged. And it's like, now that we have the information, do with it as you see fit. Do you still want to get your hair relaxers or do you not? I'm just saying, give people the choice to make a decision. Don't advertise a product as healthy and user-friendly and all these other things when it seemingly may not be the case. And this young woman, Miss Mitchell, was diagnosed with uterine cancer, and I believe she's now infertile. It's just very, very sad. So there are many other lawsuits, I believe, that have been filed or are going to take place. There have been many commercials. It's been all over social media. But I just wanted to get into the nitty-gritty of why they're being sued, what is the product liability claim, understand the history of Black hair, and just dive a little bit deeper besides seeing, you know, people on social media or an article. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. I would love to know what you guys' thoughts and opinions are as it pertains to this L'Oreal lawsuit and just understanding the history of Black hair, and now understanding that now they are being accused of selling and marketing products to mainly Black women that has cancer, that is being alleged to have cancer-causing chemicals. But since we have now learned about product liability claim, we are a little bit knowledgeable in some medical terms. I know I am, and just some chemical and scientific, these different ingredients, and just in general about what the heck is going on in this lawsuit and what's being alleged. We can now say that we are what? Legally pretty. And until next time, you guys, I will see you later. Bye.